So in the previous video, we talked about how to fill the ERAS application. But in this video, we're going to focus on other parts of the ERAS application, such as how to submit your letters of recommendation, how to fill your personal statement, and how to apply to programs and signal programs through ERAS. So to start the process of requesting your letters of recommendation, you click on the 0 here, then click Add New, and you'll be presented with this template of adding a letter of recommendation. And in my opinion, that should be the first thing that you should do when you get access to my ERAS. Why? Because physicians are busy. They're gonna take weeks to write your letter of recommendation most of the time. So you need to start asking them now if they are willing to write you a letter of recommendation. And I have a detailed video on how to ask for a letter of recommendation, what things you should do when requesting the letter of recommendation, who should you ask, should they be from the US, outside the US, clinical, non-clinical. All this information will be discussed in a separate video. But for here, I want to show you that you need to fill the author name, the author title, for example, assistant professor, associate professor, professor, and their department, which could be internal medicine, surgery, etc. Then the specialty to which this letter will be assigned. And this is only for you and for the letter author and your dean's office. Why? Because sometimes applicants apply to multiple specialties. Let's say you want to apply to internal medicine and family medicine, and you want the same author or maybe different authors to write you different letters of recommendation. So let's say you want Dr. X to write an IM letter, while Dr. Y writes a family medicine letter, while Dr. Z writes an IM letter. So for you to keep track of things, you put, for example, Dr. X here, and you put this is internal medicine, because you know you'll be assigning this letter to the internal medicine residency program. While on the other hand, when you send it to Dr. Y, you write here family medicine. So when you assign this letter to programs, you assign it to the family medicine programs. Or sometimes you might have Dr. X write you one letter for family medicine and one letter for IM, because they know that you're applying to both, but you don't want to tell programs that you're applying to both. So the letter will say family medicine when you assign it to the family medicine programs, and will say internal medicine when you assign it to internal medicine. So you might have Dr. X here, and you put specialty IM, and you write another, you have another one that says Dr. X but family medicine. So again, this is just for you, for the purpose of organization. And then you'll have additional information about the LOR. Is that a program director in a current/previous residency or fellowship where you trained? So be very careful here. It applies to residents and fellows only. So if you're a med student, this won't apply to you. So this is not a program director you worked with on a rotation. This is the program director of your residency or fellowship program. On this one says LOR is a department chair where I completed my clerkship training. So let's say you did a rotation and the department chair worked with you and decided to write you a letter of recommendation. This would count. You would pick this. They're adding here group departmental letters, which means multiple authors contribute to the letter. Maybe the PD, the chair, the associate chair of education, associate program director, all contribute to this. They're telling you that these must be signed by the team composing the letter. So if one of them is chair, you can probably pick this, or none of the above. Then I waive my right to view my letter of recommendation. I talk in detail about that in my video on letters of recommendation that I'll put in the description below. But I highly recommend you waive your right to view the letter of recommendation. What does this mean? This means you won't be able to see what they write for you. It's scary, right? But that's why program directors now prefer this, to say yes. Why? Because they want the student not to see what's inside the letter. So they trust what other people are saying because they trust that they are good students. While if you see the letter and you see bad things, you might remove it and choose another letter that has bias in it. So program directors now prefer the students or the applicants to waive their right to view the letter of recommendation. So the person writing you the letter of recommendation will not show you the letter. But that's why you need to be very, very careful in who you ask for letters of recommendation, so you don't get a letter that is not strong or weak or bad that would destroy your chances of matching. And I've seen this over and over. A lot of applicants don't match because of bad letters of recommendation. So be very wise in choosing your letter authors. If you need help, we have a great team of advisors who can help you navigate this process and answer any questions you have about that. And then you click save, and you will see the letter popping up here. It says not confirmed for upload. So you need to check this box first and then click confirm. Once you confirm it, you would click here on actions and you would be able to add the email of the letter author so the letter goes to them directly. Let's talk about personal statements. So if you want to add the personal statement, you click on create new. You type the personal statement title, which is important when you're applying to multiple specialties or multiple types of programs. So you can say this is personal statement for surgery research, which means you're going to assign this personal statement for surgery programs that have focus on research. You might type surgery community because you wrote a different letter of recommendation for community programs. Some people go the extra mile and write personal statement for each program they apply to or the top 5 they're very interested in, which is valid, but I think it's a lot of time that you can invest in things that can give you more value. I think it's fine to write maybe 1 or 2 types of personal statements for each specialty, maybe high focus on research, high focus on clinical, community, etc. But I don't think it's high yield to write a letter for each program you're applying to. And then you put the content here. Of course, write multiple drafts of your personal statement. I have multiple videos about that, multiple blogs. We have amazing service for editing personal statements. We don't only change few words here and there. We do extensive editing. We do structural changes. We give you detailed comments on how to improve certain sections of your personal statement if the content was missing, so your personal statement shines at the end. And we had amazing feedback from the students that we edit personal statements for, and how they were told by program directors interviewing them how amazed they were with the personal statement. So personal statement, in my opinion, is an important part of your application. I highly recommend you invest time in it. You show it to people who are experienced with the process. If you don't have those type of people, which are rare to find, these are not just a friend of yours who happen to know some English language or they're good in writing, because there is so much that goes into the personal statement beyond just, it looks nice. So make sure to check our blogs, different resources we have. But once you have it ready, you can copy paste it here, and then you'd have multiple personal statements for each type of programs or each specialty that you're applying to. For the additional documents, you need to authorize the release of your USMLE transcripts. You need to pay a fee for that. The MSPE, the med school transcript, the photo, you need to upload these through your ECFMG if you're an IMG. And just a quick note for your photo, make sure to take a professional one. Don't just take a selfie and upload it. A lot of programs will be seeing your photo, so also invest time by going to a professional photographer, take a nice photo that you can use for your ERAS application. Before we move on to talk about programs, make sure to check out the letter of recommendation samples and the personal statement samples that I provided for free for you, that you can check out from the link in the description below. These will provide you samples of how a good letter of recommendation looks like for different specialties, and the same for personal statements. Now, another thing you'll be able to do using your ERAS is applying to programs. So if you have a saved program or programs applied to, you can see them here. But since we didn't apply to any programs yet, you go to programs here and start with search programs. Select the specialty, and let's say we'll pick internal medicine since it's the most common. And then we'll scroll down and you'll be able to filter by state. You'll be able to filter by pick the program. You can type the name and it will show up. But we're just gonna pick the first 3 programs here. So we're gonna pick internal medicine categorical at Abington, and this one here too. And I'm gonna click save programs, and it's gonna ask me to confirm, so I'm gonna confirm that. And now these programs are saved. So if you go to saved programs, you would be able to select the specialty and see these 3 programs. And choosing programs to apply to, especially for specialties like internal medicine or family medicine, where there are hundreds of programs, it's almost impossible to apply to all these programs because it would be very, very expensive. That's why we created a list to help you select the programs that fit your application. That list has a list of all residency programs across the country in specialties like internal medicine, family medicine, general surgery, and other specialties. And you'll be able to filter the different programs based on step 1 or step 2 CK cutoff scores, based on year of graduation, USCE, whether they accept J1, H1 or both, and the percentage of IMGs in that program. And I'll provide the link for this list and a special coupon for you watching this video in the description below. So go ahead and try it out and let me know what you think. Now, another very important part of my ERAS now is the program signaling, which was part of the supplemental ERAS application last year, but now it's part of the ERAS application. This is very, very important because it can tell programs that you are very interested in them. You picked one of the few signals that you have for the specialty to give it to that program. And this will be an important factor for program directors to select applicants or review applications. And that was reflected by the survey that AAMC did last year. And there was big emphasis on applicants who signaled the program, so programs would be more likely to interview applicants that signaled them. So that's why if you're listening to this video, I would like you to take time to be very considerate of who you'll be sending your signals to. You have to be very wise in the selection of the programs that you signal based on realistic expectations, based on your application, based on the strength of the application, based on where you would like to go and train and whether these programs would offer you what you're looking for. And that's actually one of the things that our advisor helps the applicant with, is to strategize about program signaling as part of the 1 hour that we have for the unlimited package of our ERAS application editing. Because this is a golden opportunity for your application to be seen by a program. If you signal a program, you have a very high likelihood of your application being seen by the program. Because remember, there is very limited number of signals and it varies by specialty. So if you go to this link here that I'll provide for you, you can see the specialty and the number of program signals. For example, for anesthesiology, you have 5 gold and 10 silver. The gold is higher quality than or importance than the silver. So if you give one of your gold to a program, that means they got one of the 5 signals you have. That means you're valuing them a lot compared to a program that didn't get any signal. On the other hand, for internal medicine, you have 7 signals. For ortho, because it's a very competitive specialty, they did 30 signals. For ENT, 25 signals. For thoracic surgery, 3. So if a program receives a signal from you, they know that they are at the top 3 of your list. Why? Because they're one of 3 programs that got your signal. And by the way, to help you with program signaling and choosing a realistic list of programs you can signal, we created a list of different residency programs across the US with different specialties, cutoff scores, whether they sponsor visa, which type of visa, US clinical experience, year of graduation, and for international medical graduates, we added the percentage of IMGs. So if you're an IMG and you don't have that competitive application, you can search for programs that have higher percentage of IMGs. So you can filter by that by choosing, I want only programs that accept over 50% IMGs, over 70%. You can also search and filter by step scores. You can say, I want to look at programs that accept students with less than 250, less than 240, less than 230. And that can help you create a realistic list of programs that you can apply to that accepted students that are similar to yours in the past. And I'll provide the link for this list in the description below. In this case here, we're applying to internal medicine, so you can see here signal count 7 available. So when we go down to these programs and click on this action, you can assign a signal. So this could be one of the programs you assign a signal and it tells you that you have 7 remaining because I didn't pick any signal so far. So after you pick and save all your programs, you can start assigning signals and you can also start assigning documents. Since we don't have any letter of recommendation now, we can't assign any letter of recommendation. But once you have letters of recommendation, you can start assigning different letters to different programs. And the same for the personal statement. Once you have multiple version of your personal statement, you can start assigning personal statement A to a set of programs, personal statement B to a different set, etc. For the photo, it's going to be the same to all. So what you can do is go to the photo section and then assign it to all programs. And the same for the USMLE transcript, you're going to go to that section, to the document section, and click release to all programs, and it will be released to all programs. So after you pick all your programs, you save them, you assign documents, you can go to the assignment checklist, which can show you whether you missed certain documents for certain programs. So here you can see the number of programs with assignment and a number of programs without assignments. Since the MSPE, the medical school transcript, and the SFMG report is going to be the same to all, you can click auto assign to all programs. The personal statements, you can see here, since I saved 3 programs and I didn't assign a personal statement for them, you can see that there are 3 programs without an assignment and there are 0 programs with personal statement assignment because I didn't write one yet. But at the time of you applying, this should be the full number and here it should be all zeros because by the time you're applying, you should have assigned the personal statement to all programs. There should be no programs without a personal statement or without a photo or without a transcript. And the same for the LORs, there should be no programs with less than 4 LORs. That might be an exception because some programs require only 3 and you're allowed to submit up to 4. So you might still be fine if you're submitting 3 letters to a program, but here it would show as 1. So that might be tricky here, but you can check it from the other one here, assignment report, where you can see this program and what documents you assign to them, and you can see, oh, I have only 2 letters here and no personal statement, so I need to assign another letter and another personal statement to a program. One thing to keep in mind is that unlike the ERAS application, which you cannot change once you certify and submit, personal statements can be changed even after you submit to a program. So if you edited your personal statement and the program opened your application after you edited your personal statement, the program would see your new personal statement. But editing your ERAS application is not possible. The same for letter of recommendation. The letter of recommendation, you cannot edit it because you're not writing it yourself. But let's say you submitted 3 LORs to a program, specific program, and then you got a 4th LOR. And after you already applied to the program, you already submitted stuff, except the 1 letter left, because again, remember, each program you're allowed to submit up to 4 LORs. So if you have submitted 3, you're still allowed to submit the 4th LOR even after you apply to a program. And if the program looked at your application after you submitted the 4th LOR, they would see the 4 of them. But if they looked at your application before you submitted the 4th LOR, they see the 3 of them. The same if you submitted 2. So if you submitted 2, you would have the chance to submit 2 more later on. But if you submitted the 4 of them already, you won't be able to retrieve one of them or change which LOR is assigned to a program. Once you assign the 4 letters to a program, you won't be able to change any letter or add a new one. But if you left a space, you submitted only 3, you'd be able to submit the 4th one later. Before we move on to few final tips about the ERAS application, if you find any value in this video, I would really appreciate it if you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with your colleagues who are applying to residency, because this video will help them a lot in how to fill the ERAS application. Now to answer a very important question that I get asked from students every single year. Should I submit an ERAS application that is incomplete until I get my Step 2 CK score or until I get my letter of recommendation? Or should I wait and submit the ERAS application later once everything is complete? And in my opinion, it's better to submit an incomplete application rather than submitting your ERAS application late. And the reason for that is, if you did not submit your application, programs who open the applications early will not see your application, which means you're not considered for that program at all. You're 0% to them because they don't see anything. And again, by incomplete application, we're referring to the LORs and the scores or the ECFMG certificate. We're not talking about not filling the experiences of your CV, because these are things you should fill by the time you submit your application. I'm talking about the LORs, step scores, and ECFMG certificate, which are the things I usually get asked about. If you submit your ERAS application without these things and the program opens your application early, they would still see your application. They might not consider it as highly as someone who filled their full ERAS application and had their full list of LORs and ECFMG certificate, but at least you'd have a shot. They would see your application, and then you can email them later that you got your certificate, you got your score. Once you get these scores and LORs, your application updates. You won't be able to edit the ERAS application, but the LORs would still show to the program once you have them. The same with the Step 2 CK score, the same with the ECFMG certificate. So that's why, in my opinion, it's better to submit an incomplete application in terms of ECFMG certificate, in terms of Step 2 CK score, is in terms of letters of recommendation, rather than submitting late once everything is ready. But again, that's my opinion. Others might have their different opinions, but I'm providing you with the rationale of why I believe it's better to submit on time before programs start reviewing applications. As I promised you in the beginning of this video, I'm going to provide you with a detailed sample of an excellent ERAS application with detailed description of different experiences. To get this CV, click on the link in the description below, and you'll get an email to confirm your subscription to our email list. And once you do that, you will receive another email with the link to download that CV. Sometimes these emails go to your spam or junk folder, so make sure to check out your spam folder if you have not received it in your inbox. And if you don't receive it within 15 to 20 minutes of your subscription, email us at info@thematchguy.com to email you the CV. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and good luck on your match application.